This is Stepping Stones on Condor Online and Bec Waterfield. What's this show all about? Well, each week we're joined by business people, entrepreneurs, inspirational people and those in the public eye to find out what makes them tick, what drives and inspires them, and the journey they've been on that's led them to where they are now. The stepping stones to their success, you could say. It's a real life look at the stories behind the people who make Merseyside such a great place to work, live and play. And I am delighted, third guest, finally got you here. Nette Roberts.
Thank you, Bec.
Nettie. Nettie, which one do you want us to go with?
Whatever suits you, Bec.
Okay. So, Nettie is a civil celebrant. Is that the right term for you?
Yeah, and I'm a civil celebrant.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about what a celebrant does first.
Okay, so a celebrant, basically in its simplest terms, celebrates things. So anything, any life event, right from baby namings all the way through to funerals. Anything where a celebration needs to be had. And people often say to me, what do you mean a celebration? It's a funeral. But it's a celebration of that person's life. So that's what I do basically. I write and conduct ceremonies.
Fab, so we'll find out a little bit more about what you do and how it all works and what the process is a little bit later. But so it is Stepping Stones, so we like to go way back when and Scooby-Doo. Clearly not very long ago since you were at school.
Oh, you flatter me.
I know. So yeah, let's go back to school.
Okay.
Careers advice when you were at school.
Oh,
did you have any? I love this. I love finding out people's.
I think that I was at secondary school. I went to a grammar school, past 11 plus, and I was allegedly the most intelligent in our family. I think that's been proved that was incorrect over the years. But I was in the bottom set for everything, and so I bumbled along. And at the time, because I am that old, we had CSEs as well as O-levels. So having gained those, I really wanted to be a teacher, but I was told by the careers person that it was that. Oh. No dear. Oh. Yeah, no, not a teacher. But maybe a nursery nurse if you want to work with children, okay? Which is what I did. Went to Carla Park and trained to be a nursery nurse.
And did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I did. I had great placements, looking after babies as well as in a primary school, and I did enjoy it. And then when I left there, I then started my first job.
Which was?
Oh well, here you go. Being ever the rebel, and mainly a rebel without a cause, if I'm being honest. 18, got my little badge that said I was a nursery nurse, very proud, and off I tootled to Beirut.
What?
I know. First job. My father was absolutely speechless. I couldn't have just gone and worked in a nursery or whatever. No, I wanted to be a nanny. And so I did. Off I went to Beirut, which, this is a long time ago. So I was born in 1959. So I know, darling. 60 this year. Who knew? Anyway, so being 18. Off I went, as I say, first job, and there was still the troubles in the Middle East at the time, and where I lived with the family, there was bomb craters in the road. The old town had been well bombed and everywhere had, and it was a very traumatic time really to be living in Beirut, plus the fact I was the only single English or British female in our area.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was the thought process behind it? Did you stumble upon an advert in the newspaper? Or?
Well, the Lady magazine, of course, yes, which is still published to this day and has all kinds of jobs in there, from everything from housekeepers and ladies' maids still to this day, right through to nannies. And I don't know why. I think I was tempted by the fact that my employer was Vice President of Middle East Airlines. However, I later discovered when I got there that there was like 202 vice presidents of Middle East Airlines, so it wasn't really the prestigious job that I thought it was going to be.
How long did you stay out there?
Almost 6 months. I left before the end of my contract because I really it wasn't a great place to be. I got followed along the streets because I was English. I was a phenomenon, I suppose, yes. And while you might think that's quite flattering to be followed, to be followed by Arab gentlemen who had other thoughts for me wasn't possibly the best thing for a young girl. Came home, we had a recession here in this country. Oh, sorry, another recession, you know, and we seem to have had a recession for years, and
Yeah.
there's another conversation about that. But anyway, and nurseries and things were closing down, private nurseries, and so I then started to work for my dad. And after, you know, I mean, actually I'd left the country to get away from the man, and there I was working for him. He had a company doing steel erection fabrication and all kinds of big things, and I worked on the switchboard for him for a while.
I was really hoping you were going to say you had like a welder's mask and the big gloves, that flash dance
I
kind
am really sorry to disappoint. No, never got to weld anything.
So that's kind of two huge changes then.
Yeah.
So we've gone to Beirut, we've
Yeah,
gone back to work for Dad.
Yeah.
Not sure which one's more dangerous.
Yeah.
My family, I think I'd rather have been in Beirut. And then where did you go from there?
Where did I go from there? I just tootled around really. I didn't really have a career plan as such. I worked for Dad for a while. I worked in bars, restaurants, that kind of thing.
And you were still late teens, early 20s?
I was early 20s by this point. And then it was definitely a wandering kind of existence at that point, and it was very easy to move from job to job because you finished one job on a Friday and you started another one on a Monday. Very different to the way we are now. There was no real competition for jobs. It was very easy, and that's what I did for many years. Just kind of tootled around.
Yeah, I think to a degree we kind of had it quite lucky, didn't we? Because I went through university. And then there wasn't this huge vying for jobs that there is now. It's really difficult. But one of the cool things about, especially your stories, that there wasn't a life plan.
No.
So many people don't have a life plan.
And it's not it wasn't at that time important to have a life plan. And it was only as I got older that I started to have a 2-year and a 5-year plan. However, the plans never really work out, do they? It's your hopes and dreams, and you hope and you dream that it's going to be like that. But we know life doesn't always follow those paths.
So. Bumbling time,
yeah.
Where did we end up then?
Got married when I was 25 and had 2 gorgeous daughters, got divorced and carried on working, doing all kinds of different things again, fitting in around them. At one point had 3 jobs, you know, the way you do, children are at school. I was a single parent quite early on. Eldest one was only 3 and youngest was only 1 when we went our separate ways, and so as you do, you work in the evenings and Mum and Dad babysat for me and all that kind of stuff, and then it just kind of went on from there really. Again, no set career path at all. And you ended up then in schools? Yes. So it's kind of not full circle, but kind of is, but it was older students. But going back, if you want to go back a little bit to another stepping stone, I got married for the second time, and I was working for Whitbread at the time in a pub. More of a supervisory, love that word, you use supervisory role, and got married again and had the twins. Another 2 girls, 4 girls in the family. Yay, amazing.
Hormones!
Yeah, I know, yes. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, a house full of hormones. Never escape. So then, and sadly that marriage went against the wall too, and I went, and I had to find a job, because I was very lucky because I hadn't worked for 4 years after having the twins, and all of a sudden I found myself a single parent again. Eldest daughter was 16. Next one 14, and then these 4-year-old twins. I know. So going back to the qualification I'd obtained when I was 18, I went.
Your badge?
Yeah, with my badge. Excuse me, that badge is really important, and I still have it, and I polish it frequently. So you know, it's important to me. I then went to work in a nursery, in a day nursery, run by a very dear friend of mine, Miss Bev, as she's called. And she was really supportive of me, and it was great, apart from the school holidays, because you get 4 weeks holiday working in most establishments and most businesses, and the twins had 14 weeks off. Great. So we then began juggling those twins, and they went here, there and everywhere. Mum and Dad had them one day, my elder daughter had them one day, they went to their dad one day, they came to nursery with me one day, and the other one, I think we just tied them up outside and left them to their own device.
Yeah,
What's wrong? You've got it, you must have seen them tied up. And that's what we did.
They weren't really tied up.
No, yes, just
She let them run feral.
Excuse me, I just want to say that they were never tied up anywhere. They were always let loose. And so then I then thought, wow, I can't do another summer holiday because that is just a nightmare. My second daughter, who is gorgeous, of course, is dyslexic, and I was visiting her secondary school to talk about what special needs, additional needs she needed in school. And I was chatting away to the special needs coordinator, and she said, "How's life?" And I did that, shrug of the shoulders and roll the eyes, and I won't use the word I actually said, but I said, "Not great at the moment." And she said, "Why, what's the matter?" And I said, "I really need a job in a school." And she said, "Have you never thought of applying here?" And I got the job. And that's how I ended up working in a secondary school.
And what were you doing in the school?
I started off as a teaching assistant with a lovely young man, and he is a young man now, he must be well in 25, 26 now, as a support worker, teaching assistant. Amazing. And then the opportunity came to apply to be a learning mentor, and so I applied and got that job. And then school decided that they were going to have non-teaching head of years and called year managers, and so I applied for that and I got that job, and that's where I started. I was in that school for 15 years. Yeah.
And you doing a lot of pastoral work?
Yeah, mainly pastoral. I mean, that's what we did, just also supporting their academic achievement as well. But as we know with young people, if something's going on in their life outside of school, it impacts upon that academic achievement. And the barriers to learning, we try to reduce as much as we could. And obviously, as with every secondary school in the country, what do we really need? We need exam results. And that's what we all work towards.
Yeah. And that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day about what teaching is. But it's the whole teaching process has come a long way, hasn't it? From when you think, obviously, autism and all these additional needs, it's nothing new. It's always been around. It's just now people talk about it. There's diagnoses, there's plans, and procedures put in place.
Absolutely. And it's really important that we take those on board. Those young people need extra support, and it makes me really unhappy now when I read things in the press and see things. Obviously Facebook is a great communicator, isn't it, about how funding's being reduced in those areas, and it's sad because they need that extra support. And I'd like to think that that's what we did in school.
So you've always found yourself in very nurturing roles.
Absolutely.
Be it nursery nursing, being a mum, leaving the kids up, no.
Yeah.
We jest about that. And then into schools.
And of course I was a foster carer.
So you were a foster carer.
Yeah.
How many children did you foster look after?
60 children over 8 years. Some of them just came for a couple of days, others for a much longer time, and it was a great period of my life, I have to say. And you really felt you were giving something back.
Yeah. And that was while you had the girls?
That was while I was working in the school, as well.
So how did that impact on family life? So you've got 4 daughters, and then you were having children who were obviously coming in from very, very seriously horrific and stressful periods in their life.
Yeah, it had a massive impact on family life, but I like to think that the positives outweighed the negatives. The girls, the twins were at home at that point. Obviously the 2 older ones had already left home, but the twins certainly learnt so much from having those other people within our home, and I think it made them better people. There isn't a selfish bone in their body because they've always had to share. They didn't have an option, and not only share material things and their home, they had to share me, which for a child sharing their mum is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you still keep in touch with some of them?
I do indeed, yeah. My second to eldest, see, we're not mentioning any names here, are we? No names, no Pandora. She got married in April, and the last child I fostered came to the wedding, and it was a surprise for me because I didn't know she was coming, and I was just completely blown away by seeing her. And she's now 18 and gorgeous, and I like to think that my input into her has had a positive effect on her life.
I don't think it's a like to think. I think you'll find it probably has.
I do
definitely
hope
has.
so. I do hope so.
Yeah.
I do hope so.
And then that nurturing role, I guess, has continued into what you're doing now. And you retrained, putting this delicately, a little later in life.
Thank you very much for doing that, darling. Yes, I was a little later in my life. I took redundancy from school in 2016, and I retrained to be a celebrant.
I think that's such a brave thing to do at any age, to kind of change your career totally. Yeah. Was it something that you thought about for a while? How was it that?
I'd gone to my sister's wedding in 2014 in Australia. The standard joke was, somebody's got to go and give her away because we don't want her back. Poor thing, we love her. And I went to give her away, as I say, and she had a celebrant for her wedding, and I loved him. He was an older guy, and my brother-in-law, I suppose you could say, is a bit of more a rougher kind of Australian. He's very fixed in his views, and my sister isn't. She's just lovely, beautiful inside and out. The person you would want by your side, and the person you could phone at 2 o'clock in the morning if you needed help with anything. She'd be the one. However, it's a bit far for her to come now from Australia to help me, but she would be there. Yeah. And I loved the way he'd done their ceremony. It covered both aspects of their life, and it was gorgeous. And so when I came home, I had a bit of a Google, but couldn't afford to do the training. So when redundancy was offered, of course, I snapped their hand off and went and retrained.
And I don't know if that would be a surprise to people, because obviously a lot of people have been to weddings and funerals and what have you, and to know that there's actual training to do it.
I know. People are often surprised when I say.
What kind of things do you learn?
One of the first things you learn, I think, is how to be. Just how to be, not in a patronising way, not in a condescending way, and it's almost like being in their bucket, if you like, but you can't be completely in their bucket while they're with the grief, because otherwise you would be completely soaked by it. So I always say I've got one foot in their bucket with them, and I have empathy with them. I know, having lost people myself, I know how that feels. But you're there to be supportive of them, so when somebody's getting upset, it's not like you can join in and start crying with them, because that's not what they want from you at that time. They want you to try and turn them around and to think about all the positives, all the good memories they have of the person that they've lost. And that is a really big skill that you learn through the training.
That's got to be one of the hardest bits.
Absolutely.
As well, having that level, just that little bit of detachment without seeming kind of aloof.
That's right. I see myself very much as a professional, and if you do anything in a professional way, then you have to act in a professional way, and therefore you have that professional persona that you give to people. And that doesn't mean that I don't get upset, because I do. And you can't help it when you're doing a funeral service and you have all their lovely family members in front of you openly grieving for the person that they've lost. But I can't join in with that, because I have a job to do, and that isn't meant to sound cold or anything, but I'm there to do a job on that day, and I'm there to do the best job I can for that family, because really it's the last thing they're doing for the person that they loved, and I can't mess that up for them.
It's such a huge honour.
Oh, absolutely.
Responsibility as well on your shoulders.
Absolutely.
And then obviously, aside from the funerals, there's the weddings.
Oh, I love weddings.
It's just, what a wonderful thing to be involved in.
I love weddings.
What's the difference between a registrar, so if someone's watching and they're considering getting married and they're like, well, we get married here, we've got a registrar. What's the difference between registrar and celebrant?
I can't do the legal bit. So you aren't legally married if I do your ceremony. However, if you want the whistles, bells and bling ceremony, then I would be your woman for that. Most of the couples that use me go to the registry office at some point in their journey. Some of them go in their lunch hour with two friends, just in their work clothes or on Saturday morning jeans and t-shirt. And they don't exchange their rings, they don't say their vows, they literally get that legal piece of paper to say, we are Mr. and Mrs. Husband and wife.
I think it makes it a bit more of a personal story as well, isn't it? Because you'll encompass stories about how they met and you can expand a little bit more than maybe a registrar would.
Very much so. The ceremony can last as long as you want. You can have it wherever you want to have it. You don't have to have a licensed venue. If you want it in your back garden, let's go do it. It's not a problem.
I'm just having a chuckle there because all I can think of is the wedding that I know that you did in a field in Chester.
Yes, field in Chester, on the banks of the River Dee, which is where they'd had their first walk when they met. And there we went. We were taken over in a boat to the other side of the riverbank. The weather was amazing. They had set chairs out and everything, and had like a gazebo, and it was just beautiful. It was exactly as they wanted it to be, without any pomp and ceremony, but gorgeous.
And it reflects them and their journey.
Absolutely, and I think that's what the most important thing about the wedding ceremonies I do. It reflects the couple and their journey to get there. And as we know, lives don't always follow a smooth path, do they?
No. No, and that leads us into divorce ceremonies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just fascinated by divorce ceremonies. I love the idea of this. Obviously, this baby namings, it's a celebration of any stage of your life. And divorce, it can be a very empowering thing, and I guess that's what a divorce ceremony would be.
Yeah, and I'm not being sexist, but men don't often feel the need to do that. Men will go to the pub with their friends and have a pint and move on in their life. And however, as a female, I think we have a bit more of an emotional attachment, obviously, to the man who probably or maybe the father of our children, and that's very difficult because regardless of whether you absolutely hate them and you're leaving them, you still have a connection. So it's really important, I think, sometimes to, and I do hate this word, but I use it so much I'm going to have to find another one, closure. I think people do need closure, so you need closure of your relationship sometimes. Now, the divorce ceremony can take place in your own home with a couple of bottles of fizz, a few friends, and it's about that passage from you being part of a couple to you moving back into the single environment. One that sticks in my mind is we were just in somebody's kitchen, all round a table. I was saying a few words, and the laptop was there, and her friends set her up on a dating site as part of the divorce ceremony. Here we are, you're divorced, you need to move on, let's find the best picture of you, let's stick it on this site. And it was fab. It was a really fun night. And yes, and I'm hoping that she got great success on the dating site.
You're divorced, I'm divorced. I like the idea of it, again, it's that closure word. But my marriage had been over for quite a while when the divorce came through. We hadn't seen each other for about 3 years. And I just remember this piece of paper coming in and kind of going, well, that's it. Like, we spent all this time planning this big wedding and everything, and then all of a sudden it's just a piece of paper and you're like, I'm really naff at marriage, I'll just put that in a drawer.
Yeah, and they put it away. And
I'll have a Bridget Jones moment with some blue soup and my big knickers.
And there's no party poppers or anything going off as you open that envelope.
Just a cat looking at you going, yeah, just me and you now.
Yeah.
Spinster. So I think it's a lovely idea to be able to celebrate that freedom and just claiming back a little bit of yourself.
I agree.
As well.
Yeah.
What do you see the future holding then?
Lots and lots more of the same.
Yeah.
I am the happiest personally than I have ever been. The job is amazing. I work with some lovely, lovely people. The funeral directors, families, wedding venues, you back on occasions, you know. Just amazing. The experiences that I have on a weekly basis are second to none. I think there might be a book in it somewhere along the line, but it's great. And I feel really privileged to do the job that I do, I have to say.
So what words of advice, because you, like I say, you were in jobs, employment, for the vast majority of your career in various stepping stones and in various walks of life. To now be a business owner, self-employed, you're responsible for everything yourself. There's no, if you don't work...
Could you just stop there because I'm scared? Don't tell me anymore. Don't tell me about HMRC or anything else. I can't cope.
I don't even know who that is. I'm not going to talk about that. But what kind of advice could you give to someone who's maybe getting to that point in life where they're like, do you know what, I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled. And that's something that all of our guests have said. You've got to do something that you love. And We all say it.
And it's true. I think the big thing for me was, and some people said this to me, I was either brave or stupid, and no, I was brave. I was brave, I have to say. And it is about being brave. It's about believing in yourself and seeing where you want to be. And I'm a great believer in that you have to look at where you want to be. Sometimes you have to dress in the correct way to be where you want to be, and that it's all about that mindset of this is who I am, this is where I want to be, and be brave, and you have people around you to be supportive is the biggest thing. Go join networking groups, go and meet people, and talk to other business owners. What did they find were their pitfalls? And also the big thing is make sure that you put into a separate account every month the money you need for HMRC, because they will come and get you. And it's all very well thinking, oh, I've earned so much money this month. No, you haven't, because you haven't paid your tax. Get a good accountant. I am really lucky with mine, I have to say. They are superb, they are on the end of the phone, they're dead supportive, they're business growth accountants, and I have to say that the person who does my accounts is very tolerant of me when I take in my carry bag of receipts and say, please could you do something with these? And guess what? They do.
Do you think that's the key thing within business, especially because it's not a business where you could go and employ kind of 10 people to do what you do.
Not at all.
It's about you, so you're front line. You've got to meet the couples, the families.
Yeah.
You then write yourself.
I do.
You write the services.
Yeah.
Was it 10 funerals you did last week?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
That's a lot of writing.
It is. Yeah.
A lot of writing. A lot of emotion that goes into it. So the fact that you can outsource things like accounts, that's a big.
I think that my time is best spent doing what I do best. Doing accounts isn't what I do best, and I couldn't do it. So to find somebody else to do that for you, they're the important things. The website. I couldn't have set that up myself. Somebody else did that for me. My social media, I don't do my own social media because I can't really. I might send them little bits, but again, I have a company, a wonderful girl, wonderful girl, who thinks like I do, and so people often say to me, "That's a great post," and I think, wasn't mine, but yeah, and I said, "Really? How kind?" But she thinks like I do, and that's important. So you surround yourself with people who know you too, and know how you work, know what you want to do and say. And so they're the things that I outsource because I couldn't do them.
And what about people who inspire you?
Gosh, now there's a lot. I'm inspired by people who are strong women, and some of them I have to say that most people wouldn't like. Karen Brady. Inspires me. The first woman, I think she was the first woman director or owner of a football club. Jurgen Klopp inspires me. Look at that man hugging all those players. And that for me is the key, the relationship that you have with people. Oh, amazing. He's obviously loved. Well, he's certainly loved by me, I know that much. But he's loved by his players, and the relationship is the key to everything. And look after yourself, I think, as well. Never mind being inspired, but look after yourself. Because if you don't look after yourself, then you can't do anything else.
Very wise words.
Thank you.
Very wise words. So people want to get in touch with you, like you said, so it's services for all kinds. There'll be funerals, weddings, the divorce naming, baby naming ceremonies as well. That must be really key.
That is beautiful. People have tended to moved away from christenings and going to church over in the last 20 years or so, but they still want to mark this new arrival in their family.
And does the baby naming, does that work very similar to the wedding in that it can be done anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely, anywhere. And they have guide parents for their child as opposed to godparents. Recently I did one where they had 7 guide parents because they couldn't choose out of all their friends, and they had one who was going to take him for his first pint and all that kind of thing. And they write their own promises to the child, and it's an amazing event.
Goosebumps.
It is lovely.
You really are in a very privileged
Very
position.
privileged. Very.
How can people get in touch with you if they would like to?
So I'm on Facebook. There are 2 separate pages: Nette Roberts Funeral Celebrant and Nette Roberts Wedding Celebrant. I have a website. Would you like the?
I would.
Thank you. www.JenetteRobertsCivilCelebrant.co.uk.
And that's got all the information on there.
It has,
as well.
yeah.
And there's some really cool stuff as well if you are considering when there are some lovely things that you can include in there.
Absolutely, there's alternative ceremonies in there which you can include in your ceremony. So a sand ceremony, hand fasting, candles, you know, and in fact, literally, it is your wedding, have it your way. You have whatever you want in there. There aren't any limits.
Yeah.
There are no limits with using a celebrant.
And that's what we love.
And that's really the best, because there's nobody saying to you, well, you've only got half an hour. I only ever book one ceremony a day, so I'm never rushing to you or from you. And it's a relaxed and beautiful day.
Which, again, that's a big thing if you get married, because if anything goes wrong and you're running a little bit late, you don't want someone kind of there going, you've got 10 minutes and then I've got to get off because I've got to get to the other side of town.
The funniest one I had was the groom's parents were an hour late coming to the ceremony.
Awkward.
Very. Poor girl was upstairs pacing in the hotel, and we were all outside waiting. And when they arrived, it was like they were there on time. They just sorted over, said hello to everybody, and smiled, and it was fine.
There was some words said afterwards.
They may possibly have been, but they did get married, and everything was good.
Yeah. That's what we like. Brilliant. Listen, Jeanette, it's been lovely having you in. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your journey, your stepping stones to where you are now.
Beck, it's been lovely. It's great, isn't it? Who doesn't like talking about themselves? It's been a fantastic experience. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome anytime. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us across all of the social media platforms. Check out Condor Online. If you'd like any more information on the show or to find out a little bit more about Jeanette, then make sure you hop on over to the website or any of our social media platforms. Just search Condor Online, and we shall see you again very soon.